the school went through heavy expansion whilst I was here. It used to own the buildings which are right back, you can only just make them out, back there. When it got to finishing GCSEs, it needed somewhere else to put its A-levels, so it inherited an advanced studies centre. But there's a gasworks next door, and the advanced studies centre was built on the other side of that gasworks, where there's a big field, and you had half a mile well, not quite half a mile, but track leading between the two, covered walkway. So it was almost on two different sites, and we would walk between those two sites, the sixth form on one side of the gasworks, the school on the other. And then, just before I left, the school bought the houses. In fact, you can see the school better. There it is. That used to be the reception block. It's not anymore because they bought the houses. So these houses along here are now owned by the school, and so they're used as schoolrooms and reception areas and stuff like that. And that wasn't the case in my time. When I first started, the headmaster was Mr. Frank Green, and he remained there for maybe 4 or 5 years, I suppose. I think he sort of left whilst I was doing GCSEs, and he left in fact to continue with a second wave of technology colleges. We were one of the few, or the first wave, that actually survived. For some reason there's a hell of a lot of activity cars pulling in and out of here now. I think a school trip or something has just arrived back. Anyway, so Mr. Green ran the school, and it was quite a strict school, and that was the idea, to sort of show it off as one of the best schools in Lincolnshire and in the country. There was you weren't allowed to wear your coat inside. There was no running inside. There was the women had to colour their clips and their grips for their hair. They paint them with nail varnish into the school colours purple, because silver wasn't allowed. They had to kneel on the floor to make sure that the length of their skirt was all right. That was one thing. I enjoyed it because, of course, I enjoyed that sort of structured and disciplined routine, and there were a lot of teachers who were only too happy to help. I've already mentioned Mr. Davis, but Mrs. Green from the German teacher is another one who sticks out as somebody who would enjoy enforcing the rules. Things changed during my GCSEs because, as I said, Mr. Green left, and a guy called Richard Gilliland took over. To the best of my knowledge, he's still there now. It is raining, so I apologise for the fact that your screen is terribly sort of blurry, but it is raining. Anyway, he took over. He's ex-forces, and he started replacing all the teachers, all heads of department, with other ex-forces. And for the younger people, by that time I was out of the dress. I was in a dress code, but not actually in a school uniform. But for the younger people, it began to get ridiculously like a military school. They even had reward systems for pupils who would join up for the cadets or the OTC or the ATC, whatever it was. had a stupid man in a pom-pom walking between the pathway between the Advanced Study Centre and the school all the time. And I didn't like that because I saw that as elitist. And although I recognised that the school had a high teaching level, it wasn't elitist, or it hadn't been elitist during the time that Mr. Green was there, in terms of who it selected, and the idea was that anybody could sort of go, and they could all be given the best opportunities possible, so to speak, in education. And now it had gone beyond a disciplined school into a military school, and I didn't like that at all. I did the Millennial Project, which was the start of a sort of archive for the school, based in the library at the time, and that charted the 8 years that the school had been open, of which I'd been a member 7 years, and then I left, and I haven't had much luck since. I think almost all the teachers that I was taught by have gone now, and the school went on to be one of Labour's pioneering schools in basically a conglomerate of half the schools in the bloody city. So the Lincoln Academy is now composed of several schools on several different sites that in my time were self-governing, completely separate schools, and aren't anymore. And I don't like that either. I do apologise. Did you see anything out of there at all? Not a lot. So anyway, I tried to come back several times just to sort of visit the school, but it's changed beyond all recognition now. They have house colours, so everybody who is at the school is now a member of a house, and it's horrible to me that it's just taken the whole discipline thing way too far. It was never supposed to be any sort of military academy at all, and it borders now on that sort of thing, that regulation, that discipline, and people like me aren't even permitted to come back and visit, because you need to know people in the school to do that. You need to register, and you can't just, I don't know anybody who's at this school. All the people that I knew graduated 11 years ago. So, and now the gates are open. So, I'm not even going to go into the grounds to take photos, because I know that if I get caught, they'll get extremely upset. So irate, possibly. So I'm going to walk down the hill now, catch the bus. I'm catching the 27, so it's the same bus that I got here from the bus station, and I'm going to go to somewhere else which has a lot to do with my my education. You see, in Lincoln, obviously, my education did not start at secondary school level, which runs 7, 8, 9, GCSE 10, 11, 6th form 12, 13. It started before that, obviously. So we're going to go to see the school that I went to before that. But I've been to two schools. They're right next to each other, at Manley's Infants and Manley's Junior School, and that will be our next stop.